They want and demand that you are only a Christian in this country. And then the best part about it, ladies and gentlemen, they command that of you, demand that of you, but yet they are the most fake Christians the world has ever seen.
The CEO of Freedom 250 flew to Davos, stood in front of a room of foreign governments and asked them, in his words, how they wanted to shape America's birthday.
This is John Slate says, MAGA small guy syndrome, more like insecure little boys. That is what MAGA is. By the way, let's find out, John Slate. Where's the poll at right now? How many people? And that's right. Okay, so now we're back on top, everybody. MAGA men are cucks. Is that true or false? And with nearly 700 votes, 695 votes, true is winning 54-46. So everybody who's been answering, the majority of them have actually gotten it right. You know, anyone who voted no, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. MAGA men actually are cucks. It was a test, but you know, we'll see. Anyway, let's continue with some more things that I have for you guys. I know that MAGA's watching this, and instead of going like what normal people would do, watch this and go, "This motherfucker did that? What? This is some bullshit, bro. We've got to do something." No, that's not what MAGA is going to do. MAGA is going to look at this and they're going to say that it's fake news. And they're not going to believe it, despite the fact of the matter. That's what MAGA is going to do when they see this. They will not accept the truth, number two enemy, right? They don't want to know. So this is what's happening, and MAGA is totally going to be okay with it. You can tell. Watch what happens in the comments.
His appointee to the commission teamed up with the Speaker of the House in an attempt to push 4 commissioners out of their seats and replace them with MAGA loyalists. When that didn't work, Trump created his own shadow entity to circumvent and supplant America 250. They call it Freedom 250. On paper, it's a shell company registered in Delaware through the same anonymous vendor the president uses for his other businesses.
Shout out to Delaware. I'm from Delaware.
But this LLC is different. It was lodged inside the National Park Foundation, a charity that's funded our national parks for 50 years. Think about why you'd do that. As part of a charity, the LLC could take in huge sums of money without ever naming who or where it came from. This arrangement lets them sell access to the president, collect checks from anyone willing to pay, and keep every donor's name secret, all under the banner of a trusted American institution, the National Parks Foundation. Then they starved America 250.
They starved it. They took it and starved it, meaning they didn't give any of the resources to it, and they kept it for Freedom 250.
Congress had set aside $150 million to celebrate our 250th. The America 250 Commission was promised $100 million of that funding. But in November of 2025, the White House told the America 250 chairwoman she would only get $50 million. And in the months that followed, they whittled it down to just $25 million. The rest of the money was taken by Freedom 250. Between this and other redirected funds, hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars are now unaccounted for. Now follow the money, because this is where it gets worse. Freedom 250 went after the real commission's corporate sponsors, not just donations, but a quid pro quo of access to Trump in exchange for cash. Lockheed Martin, ExxonMobil, Chevron, MasterCard, United Airlines, United Health. Most of these corporations are lobbying and trying to win contracts from the same government that's now selling them special access. And as they wrote their checks to Freedom 250, the president was trading their stocks and posting their ticker symbols online to juice their values. Trump's cronies were then deployed across the globe to solicit money from foreign governments. The CEO of Freedom 250 flew to Davos, stood in front of a room of foreign governments and asked them, in his words, how they wanted to shape America's birthday.
How they wanted to shape America's birthday. And that, my friends, is where we will leave that video, because that one is about 10 minutes long. But I wanted you guys to hear that part where he says, how do you want to shape America's birthday overseas? This is the Republican Party. They're allowing this, encouraging this, and facilitating this. Now, when I talked to you guys about the whole communist nonsense, we went over what communism is at the beginning of this video, and we'll go over it again here because this is the segment where I wanted you guys to see. This is Jesse Waters on the Fox propaganda network. And what does he say?
I didn't see that leap.
Slippery slope.
Yes.
They're going to say one-child policy next. This is how communism starts.
This is how communism starts, he says. And, you would think, okay, well, you know what? That's not that bad. That's not that bad. It's not that bad, right? Except they're continuing with their messaging about communism every opportunity that they get. Let's continue here with Caroline.
Because they don't want their children being taught these communist and liberal ideas slammed down their throat.
One of the things that Republicans are feverishly against, and, all you have to do is just pay attention like I do every single day, and you'll realize they are against literally everything this country stands for. Everything. And some of the things that are staples in our society, like science, they're against science. Education, they're against education. You see how this is working out, ladies and gentlemen? She just bragged about how so many of her Republican friends are homeschooling their kids. You want to know why they don't like education? Because the more educated people are, the less Republican policies will win. Because the more people understand what is actual and factual, they realize, oh my God, this is terrible what they're doing. I'm not dealing with that anymore. And so they have an all-out assault waged right now on science and education. That's the Republicans for you. But that's not the end of it. There's still more. Watch. This is another MAGA dummy. And what is she saying? This is from Aaron Rupar. Lisa McClain talking about communism again as they continue to bring it up in everything that they say. Watch.
For the people in our country who want to turn this country into a communist country, leave. You're free to leave. The beauty about America is you can leave.
Let me just touch on a couple of things here. So let's just go right about here. Let's start from right here. Watch this.
The sacrifice to make this country what it is today. Freedom.
They hate freedom. Tell me I'm wrong. What are they trying to do right now? What are Republicans actively doing right now? What is Donald Trump actively doing right now? Trying to take away a ton of our freedoms, including our free speech.
Free speech.
They don't like free speech. They hate free speech. We've seen it over and over again. In fact, Donald Trump signed an executive order to try to arrest people and imprison them for a year for burning the flag, which is a free speech constitutional right that we have been given.
Family.
They hate family. Here's the thing that I know about family. You know how they talk about family? You know what they always talking about when it comes to family? They love to bring up pro-life, right? That's what they always talk about, don't they? Except when the baby's born. Now, isn't that a problem? When the baby's born, you know what they say then? Fuck you. I don't care about that fucking baby. Why did you have it? If you can't afford it, you should have never had the baby. Fuck that. No. Why should we pay for that? Why should we give you daycare? Why should we send you food? Why do we do it? Like, we don't need to do any of that. Pull yourself up from the bootstraps. But they're pro-life and pro-family, huh? No, they're not. They can give two fucks about family and babies.
Faith.
They don't care about faith either. Now, do they? Now, what is it that faith is? It's your belief in God. What is the definition of faith? The definition of faith is being able to believe in something despite the fact that you cannot see or touch it. That is what faith is, right? Now, why is it that I say they don't like religion? They don't like religion. Only if you're Christian. You see how this works, ladies and gentlemen? The country has been built on freedom of religion. MAGA doesn't like that. Republicans don't like that. They want and demand that you are only a Christian in this country. And then the best part about it, ladies and gentlemen, they command that of you, demand that of you, but yet they are the most fake Christians the world has ever seen. I've never seen a group of people, a population of people more against Jesus Christ than I have with the Republican Party, and especially with the MAGA movement. Now, at some point, there were some Republicans that were good, hard, honest, God-fearing people. But now MAGA has taken over, and it's like 90% of the party, maybe 95% of the party. And guess what? Every single belief that they have in their movement is against God, against Jesus, and against the Constitution, which is freedom of religion. So no, they do not like God at all.
Why aren't we celebrating the greatest nation on earth?
We do on a regular basis celebrate the greatest nation on earth. You're the ones shitting on it. You see why I had those little pauses? I had to go through it like that because I wanted to make sure that I hit every single point to make sure that everybody understands. With 263 people watching, that's pretty good, right? I'm glad that most people are sticking around to watch the show. Here goes Caroline Levitt again. This is her talking about communism again. Watch.
Washington, D.C., just a few steps away from where we are sitting right now. The inmates are running the asylum. These are crazy people who are advocating against what I call the 3 Ps: prison, police, and
what is it?
Prison, police, and private property. They don't
I'm glad that she was able to figure it out.
want any of those things, and those are the ideals that founded this great country 250 years ago. But as President Trump says, communism is easy to sell. You just promise people free stuff. Until a few years, you're living in squalor with no free home, no free food. You're just sitting there with a whole bunch of communists looking around and saying, what the heck happened?
This is the messaging that Fox News and Republicans are trying to put out there so that people can get scared. There is no communist movement in this country whatsoever. Again, let me show you something so that you guys can understand. I have a visual here so that you can understand a little bit better. If you don't know, what is communism? What is socialism? Socialism is the government owns and manages key industries and services for the good of everyone. So there's the government, key industries like energy, healthcare, education, transportation, right? And then it benefits the society. Now, how does this work? It's because capitalism, which is what we also have and can still have, brings in a lot of money because people want to make more money. But the thing is, though, the more money you make, the more you have to contribute because you have all the money, right? The people down here at the bottom who don't have any money, they can't pay as much taxes as you. So therefore, you end up having to pay more. It's just the way it goes. I'm sorry if you don't like that. Now, I know that everybody watching me right now, most of you understand that. The MAGA dummies watching me right now, though, what they think is that they're going to be the ones taxed because they think they're rich. They think they're rich. Or here's the best part, which is even funnier. They think they're going to be rich. And so they don't want to take the chance. They don't want to have socialism. They don't want somebody taking their money, except you're the one who needs it right now. You're poor. Okay. But let's just continue, though. There's a little bit more here. What is communism, though? Communism is when the government, the state, owns everything. They don't just own key industries like this: energy, healthcare, education, and transportation. They own all of that on top of everything else: factories, farms, businesses, transportation, and everything else. And then everybody in that type of a system is considered equal. That's communism. So the government would then control everything, including businesses, small businesses, big businesses, farms, everything, factories, like you just saw. That's not at all what socialism is. Socialism is the key industries that we need every single day, and the government takes care of that, which they should, because that's for the people. Everything else, you can have a business if you want it, and you can get rich. You just have to pay more money if you make more money in taxes. It's the fair way to go about it.